continue working on this Next.js threads application. So yeah, I thought let's finish this. Let's just get done with it. And then I can sleep well. And I also have to stay awake for about an hour or two. So I thought, yeah, let's just try to get done with it. And then yeah, I have to stay awake for Fajr prayer. And it would be nice to do something productive while I do that. So we're gonna continue working on the threads application that we were working on. So far what we have done is we have created the app. We have connected with NextAuth. So I'm gonna quickly show you where we are, not at the warning, but rather let's quickly run npm run dev. And obviously the code that was till last endpoint, everything was committed. So we're good there. Let me bring my desk up a bit. And if I go back to not that one, this guy. So if I go here, you will see that we have the next app as you see it right now. So let's see, I'm going to zoom out a bit so we can see it well. And let's go here. So everyone who's watching me right now, I can see a couple of people. So make sure to give a like. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, do that as well. So this is the application that we have so far. It's pretty basic. We have an about route. We have a home route. The about doesn't exist, so it just says 404 at the moment, but the home page exists. This button right here shows my image, but if I click this, it logs me out. And it also hides the form, which is supposed to use or supposed to be used to sort of submit a comment. And then I can click this login button, which takes me to the Google sign in. And if I click that, then it logs me in and I see my user. So this app, when this is going to be deployed, everyone will be able to use it. So just a quick background on what we have built so far. So this is the idea that anyone should be able to submit a form or a comment that adds right here. And then we should have nested comments as well. So if I'm, for example, logged out in last video, we also implemented so that if I click the reply, it also asks me to log in. So we have some cases covered, but we're going to continue building on that. On top of that, we also build some REST APIs. So if I show you what we've done so far, we have this comments route in which we have two different events or two different handlers. One is for the get. So I can get top level comments and comments with parent ID. So I can get both of them. And then I can post a new comment via our endpoints. So this one works as well. And we created a REST client file via which we could get those. For example, I can try to see, hey, this basically retrieves the top level comment. Any comment that has a parent ID null, we'll get that. And then afterwards, if I want nested comments, I would have to use the parent ID for those. So if I'm using the parent ID of this guy right here, then I get all nested comments. So I have two nested comments right now. So if I send this request, then I get the two nested comments. So all of them have the same parent ID that ends with 19F, as you can see. So this is where we are right now. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you're excited about Next.js, also let me know in the comments. And this is Next 13. So Next 13's good tutorials are very few over the internet, and my attempt here is to make it as easy as possible. So yeah, just share your thoughts in the comments when you get the chance. So we have also post comment via which I can post a top level comment. For example, let's say if I don't provide a parent ID, I could use a text with my user ID from here, and I can say this is also a top level comment. And then if I try to post this, I should be getting, or it says not authenticated because I changed my route. So if I go to route, sort of disable this authentication for now, since I'm using my REST client from VS Code and this is not a real application from the browser. That's why I disable it for now. But if I click this now, you should be able to see that I have the comment created with the ID, with the text, with the user ID, no parent ID, and likes set to 0, right? And now if I try to get top level comments, I should get 2 instead of 1 because previously we had 1. So if I send the request, you see that I get the fake content, and then also this is also a top level comment, and I can get those as well. Cool. So now that we have the APIs, we are going to start working on the UI to use these APIs. So I'm going to close this for now. And I'm gonna open this as well. So we are going to see when this really works and when we try to get, when we try to post something as well. So in this particular case, what I want to do is I'm gonna go to my UI, and in here I want to be able to list down all the comments. So first of all, let's adjust the UI a bit. What I want to really do is I want to go to my home page, which is this one. You can see we are using some hard-coded comments right now. Instead of these, we're going to use the actual comments. So now that we have this, I'm gonna try to sort of align this. So in here we have a main, which has a flex column. I want to use a gap 4 in here. So we have some spacing between. You can see this button is right around this one. So I'm gonna put a gap 4. So we have some gaps right here. Then we also want to have, so we also have a comment here. So instead of comments.map directly, I want to have a section here. So we have a main inside which we have one heading, we have another section, and then we should have one more section here as well. And when we have the section here, then we can put the comments inside. So if I look at this, now you can see that these are also pretty much aligned with each other as well. And I like that. So class name is going to be flex call and gap 4. So here you can see now we have some gaps as well here. I think I pretty much like this. The only thing that I would want to have is sort of a border around this one by default. That is the text area. So I'm going to go to comment form and just some UI nitpicking, so to say. So in here we have the border white, and now you can see the border as well. But I don't want that on the form. I want that on the text area. So let's add that here. Oh, this already has the border slate in light mode, but I want in the dark mode, I want a border white, dark border white. And now we should be able to see this here. Cool. Looks nice to me. So let me know in the comments, have you already worked with Next.js? Or have you worked with React, or have you worked with vanilla JavaScript only? Which is your favorite framework for building web applications? Let me know in the comments. In the meantime, now that we have this, you can see that we have a list of comments, but we are not showing real comments. We are showing some hard-coded comments in our page. So our page is the smart component which fetches the data, or which has the data, and it just passes that array to, or it just loops over the array to render comments. So instead of having this hard-coded list, what we are going to do is we're going to get it from the database or from the API. So we will create a function. This is going to render server side. So what we need to do is to create a function here. So we can say something like const get comments equals, this is going to be an async function. So async. And then what we want to do here is to make an API call to our backend. So in here, we should be able to say something like const response equals await fetch. And in here, we can then use what exactly? We can use API slash comments. And that's pretty much it. Now, the fun part is if I use this comments, then I should be able to only get top level comments and nothing more. So if I want to do this, then I get the response. So I can then say something like comments equals await rest.json. And then what I want to do is to get out the comments from that. So in here, I can say response.json dot comments, and then we should have the comments that will be assigned to it. And I can also sort of change it to do something like this, comments, right? And now when we have the comments, all we want to do is to return the comments. And that's pretty much it. So now, if I try to get the comments instead of this array, I can actually do something like const await get comments, and that's pretty much it. So we are going to run this with debugger so we can also see those things together. So what I've done for the debugging is I'm going to show you in a bit, but these comments are of type comment, and they should come from Prisma. So Prisma client comment array. And this is what we want. And in here, we should be able to then run the comment as well. What does it say? Does not support attributes because it does not have props property. We'll have a look at that in a moment. So we have comment. Oh, because now we have two comments, this guy and this guy. Oof, okay. So let's do comment as I comment. And then this guy can be I comment as well. So then we should be able to say the comment component uses the comment ID. I think this should be ID. And then the comment itself should be of type comment. So I can go to, all right, this is going to be interesting. Sheikh Salman Aziz says, I'm a backend engineer. I worked only with Angular a little bit and I liked it, but I heard a lot about Next.js. Yeah, it's definitely interesting, Salman. So what we are doing here is that we have a sort of conflict. The component is called comment component. The comment is called comment. So we could also do something like this. So import comment as comment component. So then what we can do is cannot find name comment component. Oh, we don't need to do this. We can just call it comment component from comment. And then in here, we can use the comment component. And then we need to pass the comment.id. And in the comment component here, you see the comment, which is supposed to be of type comment interface. But instead of using this comment now, which I've created here, I can actually get rid of this interface file completely and this file as well, because, or this user actually, because now I can use directly from Prisma. So I'm going to remove this, and that would affect a few pages, but we'll see. We'll get to it. So now that we have this, I can go to the comment interface. I can delete this file, and then I can go to comment tsx, and instead of this guy, I can now use comment directly from Prisma. So I can say, hey, I'm going to import comment directly from Prisma client, and this should be happy now. Now, when we have comment, we also want the comment, the user as well within the comment, but we are going to have a look at that in a bit. So this guy is happy. We are able to pass comment as well. But now what we want to also show is the name of the user who added the comment. And this makes it a bit tricky because look what happens right now. I'm going to comment this line. I'm saying comment so many times. So let's save this guy, and we are going to be able to see the comments themselves. So now if I try to refresh, let's see if everything works or if we have any errors. And I also need to go to the run and debug. And if I show you my JSON, launch JSON, I did a add configuration with launch via npm, and then I changed the run time or the runtime arguments to run and dev. So now that I run this, I run the Next.js application, but in dev mode, and that is what we want. So once you run this in dev mode, you should be able to see in the debug console all the console logs. And now I can go to page tsx and I can put a breakpoint right here, and right here. And then I can request the page and everything should work fine. So now that I'm running this localhost 3000, let's see what happens. So now you can see that I've got the user already, email, image, name, all of them are here. If I do get comments, you can see that it will go right here. It will try to fetch the response. It will get the response. And then I should have the comments right there. So if I move forward, let's see. It says fail to parse URL from API comments. But why? So get comments, try to why does this fail? That's a bit weird. So we are using a fetch, and we are using, would I have to use HTTP localhost 3000 API comments? Because if that's the case, then I would have to Maybe that's the case. We'll see. Refresh and refresh. So it comes here. Okay, so now I think I get the comments, and there we are. We got 2 comments. So I had to put this guy here. So that means we would also have to use an environment variable to define the root. But that doesn't make sense for some reason. Oh yeah, because this is running on the server. That makes sense actually. Okay, so then we go here, we get the comments, and if I go to my components, yay, you can see the fake content, and this is also a top level comment on the screen. Yay. So if I go to my database, I should be able to see both those comments. So if I go ahead and refresh, right now we see only, and we can filter by parent ID null. I don't think if this is gonna work. Yeah, this is gonna work. So parent ID null is fake content, and this is also a top level comment. So both of them we can see now, as you can see. But what we don't see is the user that posted it. So we also want to be able to show the user itself. So what we are going to do is, instead of just getting these requests and just getting the comments, we are also going to get the user for the comments. I'm just gonna switch my my battery for my camera. So give me 1 second. Be right back. And there we go. Cool. Looks nice. Let's get back to it. So I want to get the user along with the comment. So what I want to do now is I'm going to refactor my API endpoint a bit. So in here, I have too much code. So first, what I want to do is, if there's a parent ID, use where parent ID. If not, I'm going to use this guy. So we can boil it down to a simpler query, which means I can do, hey, comments equals, and where the parent ID. So in here, I can actually check if there is a parent ID, which is right here. So if I get something from the search parameters, then I should be using this guy. Where I should be using parent ID. And if not, then I'm going to use this. So not set is set true. Is that the one? Yes. So then if I have that, then I can eliminate all of this code. So this becomes much nicer. So if I have a parent ID, I'm going to use it. If it's not, then yeah, it's fine. So let's try those out now. And I'm going to remove the breakpoints from here so I can see those requests. So if I try the same API, you can see that this works. If I try to go and say comments by parent ID equals this guy, then I get the 2 with the parent ID set to 9F or 19F. Okay, cool. Makes sense so far. And this also works, of course. So fake content, this is also a top level content, works fine. Sheikh Salman Aziz, just a question. To build systems like CRM for sales system, is it reliable to use NextJS or React.js, which include huge amount of data and distributed database? It all depends on the architecture, to be honest. There's no good answer because the technology is not the answer. The answer is the architecture, the one who implements it, the whole thought process of the team, the time spent on sort of, architecting itself. So you can have a really good architecture or a really good CRM even without having the best technology in the world. So it really depends on how you want to go forward. So yeah, it's not the tool. It's essentially how you use it, more or less. Hope that answers the question. So now that we have the APIs working, I want to do something. So I want to select. What do I want to select? I want to select the user. So I can say user, and this is going to be true, which means that if I now try to do this request, it's going to send back the user as well. But now the only difference would be this would be not only a comment, but a comment with user, so to say. So in this case, I don't know, it's comment with user now. I would have to create a type myself that says comment with user or comment includes user, something. Because if I do select, then I think it would have, let's see. If I try to do find many, this says come and find many args. Select. Then it says user args. And when I say user args select, would I have to use select or include actually? I think include is going to be nice. Yes. So include. So when I do include, this becomes get result, and it also has user ID, blah, blah, blah. Cool. So now if I try to get the same thing, let's see what happens. Great. So now you see that not only I get comment, but I also get the user along with that. And in this case, I get the ID, the name, email verified, image, all of those things. But in this case, I don't really want the email of the user. So I can say, just give me the ID and the name, or the image as well. So email verified, we don't really need that. So we can select ID, name, and image. So in this case, we can say user, and I think we can do select. So in user, we can select the ID, or can we say exclude? No. There's no on select. Let's go with select. So ID, true, image, true, and name, true. So those things we should get. So now if I refresh, I should not get email and email verified. And now you can see that I only get the ID and the image. So I hope it makes sense. सर मुझे एक प्रोजेक्ट मिला है एक फ्रेंड का, उनकी कंपनी को एक ऐप क्रिएट करना है, क्या मुझे कुछ चेंज करना चाहिए, कुछ चार्ज करना चाहिए? फर्स्ट रियल प्रोजेक्ट होगा. आई थिंक यू शुड स्टिल चार्ज. डिपेंड करता है, अगर आपको चार्ज की ज़रूरत नहीं है एंड यू आर डूइंग इट फॉर एक्सपोजर, देन डू इट. बट आई थिंक इफ दे, आई बिलीव मोस्ट लाइकली दे आर गोइंग टू पे. तो अगर वो पे कर रहे हैं तो ज़्यादा, यानी कि बहुत ज़्यादा जेनरस होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है कि नहीं 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 आई विल नॉट टेक मनी. क्योंकि इफ़ दे आर पेइंग देन यस, गो फॉर इट, आई वुड से. All right, so now that we have the user ID, image, and name, I can work through those. So in this case, what I can do is I'm going to go to my page, and in here I have the comment, and I'm passing the comment inside there, right? And then in here, I can now say comment.user.name. So comment, can I say comment includes user? I don't know. Because Prisma client, export from Prisma client, comment, payload, comment, scalars, ID, user ID, blah, blah, blah. Because I want to say, let's see. So Prisma, type with include. I think this is the one. So this is what I'm looking for maybe. So type prisma.user select. In this case, I have this, and this is a generated type. But we have also post, right? So in this case, I can say user email is prisma.user. Okay. I'm looking at it. So, okay. So if I want to have post unchecked create input. Because if I try to do this, this is create. I think this should be still. So when I do select fields, I would have to also do include select fields. Relation queries. So if I do include post, okay, then how would I type it? Yep, yep, yep. Yep, yep, yep. Mm-mm-mm. Mm. But I want to be able to still see the type. So in this case, all right, let's have a look. So in this case, I should be able to say, nope, nothing changed here. In this case, I should be able to say that the comment that we are receiving here is comment user. No, nope. Comment yeet payload. Not really. Hmm. Or I would have to say something like comment with user. So I would then have to create my own types. Okay. So comment dot interface, or we could also have a types file. I think that would make much more sense. So lib types.ts. And here we can say export type comment with user. In here we can say something like comment, and this should be from Prisma, and user, which is supposed to be of type user from Prisma client. And I think that should work. So we should be able to say comment with user, import, and now I can go ahead and say user dot, and you can see email verified, age, name, blah, blah, blah. So I can use the name right now. So now if I go to my application here, I should be able to see it working. Previous definition of comment here. Maybe I'm using comment 2 times. Okay, page.tsx, comment. So in this case, this should be of type comment with user instead of comment. And then if I go here, this should also be as, and we can, let's change this name to comment component. Comment component, comment component, and then we can have the comment itself. Let's see. And let's see. Cool. So now we can see the name Muhammad Hassan Ayaz, fake content, and also the name here, and then the comment as well. So what we can do now is actually make this a bit better. So instead of having this huge text, we can simply make it like this. So a bit smaller. Did it fix it? Oh, this also. Cool. And then also we should be having a class name, flags, item center, gap 4, and then let's use an image here. So image, and this should be from next image. We should have the source set to user.image, and width is gonna be, I think it's gonna be really small. So if I do width 4, no, 16, no, maybe 8, and that is 32 pixels. So let's go with width 8 or 32 pixel, or not pixel, but 32, height 32, alt, we can say avatar for user.name, comment.user.name, and this should be comment.user.image, and this should be there always, and I think that should be it. Maybe we can break this down a bit. So in this, we get the comment, we also get the user, but this is the user that is signed in, and we want comment user. So in here, we can take out the comment user by saying comment const comment user equals comment dot user. And then if we have comment user dot image, then we render the image. So comment user dot image, then we render the image. Let's say comment user dot image. And in here also, let's use comment user instead of comment dot user, comment user. And then finally, we can say if that's not the case, then just null. So if I sort of format this, this is what we are talking about. If so, a comment user is the comment dot user. If the comment user has the image, we render the image. Otherwise, we don't render anything. So in this case, now you see we also got the image. Let's also style this a bit. So we are going to use a class on this one. So class name, border, or we can say rounded full. And you can see the image now. So I think this makes much more sense. And we can have now a bunch of comments as well. What do you think? Does it look nice? So now that we have got this, we should look into how do we post something. So in this particular case, we are going to have the comment form speaking to the backend to create a particular form item. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go ahead and say, hey, if I have this comment form, I want to be able to do something with it when I submit the form. So in this case, we have placeholder and button text, but I also want to be able to submit the form. Now, how do we do that? So when I'm clicking the form or when I'm submitting the form, I should be able to get the value of the text area and then use it. So apart from the props, I'm also going to say on form submit. And then this should be a function that takes the value of the text, and that is pretty much it. So we can say text is string, and then it doesn't do anything. Or yeah, you could have a function that returns a promise or something. So you could say something like promise void. So it doesn't do really anything or return anything, but we should have this right here. So on form submit is going to be here. Let's also make sure that this is formatted nicely. And then what we want to do is once we have the form elements, we're going to say on form submit. And there we are supposed to say form l dot elements dot, and then we can get the particular item by name. It's called named item. And then here we want to get the text value. So here we can say text, and we are going to either use text or empty string. So either of those. So here it says argument of element not string. Oh yeah, because this should be value. And this target that we have got, we're gonna have this guy first extracted. So const text area element equals this guy as HTML text area element. And then we can say text area element value or this guy. So this is what we are supposed to do. Now, the only thing is that I need to pass this on form submit from wherever I'm using this comment form. So if I look at this right here, I am pretty sure we're going to get into a problem, but let's see. So the page TSX right now uses the comment form, but we need to now pass a function. If we pass a function, this is not going to be a client component anymore, which makes it a bit difficult. So what we would want to do is, I'm thinking. Yes, I think what we would want to do is to have a comment that could be a comment or null. So instead of passing this on form submit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass a comment. So in here, we could have a comment, and that's going to be either of type comment from Prisma client, or null. So either of, or it's going to be a comment if you pass it. So if we have a comment, then we should be able to call a particular API. Otherwise, the other thing. So we can say const params, and we should also be passing the user here as well. Now that I think about it, and we can also, I mean, we can get the user from the session as well, but makes sense. So in this particular case, params would be text area element. We had that. Let's quickly do this. So in this case, text is going to be text area element dot value. And we also need the user ID. So here we are going to say const session equals use session. So this is a client component. So I'm using the use client. And once we have the session, then I can say user ID is going to be session dot data dot user. So once we have the user, then the I can't have the user data here. Let me think. Then if I try to go and do something like API slash comments, no, API slash session, does it return the session for me or no? Let's see. So if I go here, this guy, so in here we did have a API slash auth slash session, right? So this one, oops, this one, if I go to my app again, this is the app. So this should be API slash auth slash session, and I should be able to see this. Right, so we have the user, we have the name, email, image. But then if I want my particular user, then I should be able to get the logged in user from the session. But then I'm thinking, if I do use session, I have no I'm thinking because I don't get the ID from the account, so I would have to get the account in this case. Okay, then we have to have then we have to have a particular a particular API where we have to get the user itself. That makes it a bit difficult. Okay, let's do that. So API slash users, and then here we have the route.ts. Then we should be able to say something like route.ts, and in here, similar to next auth, we're gonna copy paste stuff here. So nothing as such. We have a handler, and what we want to do is to do handler as get, and I mean we could say export const. Let's keep this simple. So export const get, and then what I want to do is if I have a user's route, then I would get that particular thing. But if I also have a user slash me route, then I should be able to just return back the user. So this should be route.ts. So I'm going to remove the one outside. So I have users slash me route.ts, export const get. But then if I want to get a particular user, then that becomes a bit of a problem. Okay. I'm thinking. If I want to get a particular route, I would have to use that. Otherwise, it's going to be me. If I want to use a particular user, then that's gonna be also a bit difficult. But let's see. So if I, maybe we will not need that, but if I did, then that would be a problem. So I'm just thinking about a way to avoid it, but let's try that out. So we have a get here, and if I say, hey, response or return next response dot json, here message in the me call, and then here I want to do this. So inside of users, I also want to have an ID, and I want to check what happens. So route.ts inside or in the ID call, right? So I have two routes, and I want to see what happens when I use this. So I'm going to go to my app right here. And if I do something like users slash 123, then I'm in the ID call. And if I do me, then I'm in the me call. Okay, so those are differently treated. So that's good. That means that I can use the me one to actually get the response. So here I can say something like const session equals get server session, and this should be await this should be async, and once I've got the session, if not session, return next response dot error, and here we could say not authorized. Is that it is how it's supposed to happen? No. Response error, redirect, not really. So we still say status, no, JSON, and in the JSON we should have a response body, but I also want to set the status, no? Or wait a second, I'm missing how that goes. I mean, we could use 404. We have something like not, no. Not found. So this is the not found file, which runs not found from next navigation. So I want to see const, no. Import from next navigation. And what I want to see right here is not found. So I could use not found or errors. So for the error boundaries, I want to see the fallback, but that's not what I was looking into. Nested routes, blah, 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 handling server error. So this is what I was looking at. So if an error is thrown inside a server component, NextJS will for an error object strip the sensitive information production, the nearest error.js file as error prop. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so then that means I can only just say throw new error, and here I can say not authorized, for example. So if we try to get a particular user, then that's not going to work. And if that's not the case, then we can just say session. So if I try to go to my app right now and try to do this, have I error not authorized? So here it says not authorized at all if I'm not able to get the server session. But what does it say? Invalid. Oh, it's used in a React server component. That's fine. That should be fine. If I try this call, it says invalid compact JWE. No, not authorized. That makes sense. And if I try to then, if the session is not there, and then let me also have a look at the app itself. So right now, if I refresh, I am logged in though. What do you mean I don't have a server session? Oh, okay. And that's okay, because I'm not passing anything at all to this, right? Yes. So I think this was something like get custom. No, no, get server session for next 13. And this should give us the right one. Cool. So just a disclaimer right here. We have two different functions. One is get server session that comes from NextAuth, and then we have our own implementation for this one. And you can get this in the code. But what this basically means is that if we don't have a request, it sort of tries to move around with it and then actually returns the session on my server component. So with this one, I get the session and it would not throw unauthorized in this case. So I have the user right here. Now, once I have the user, I want to be able to get the user from my database. So if I go here, you can see that we have the account in here, which has the ID, which has the user ID, type, provider, token, blah, blah, blah. If I go to the user can be found with the email. So that means this is what we are going to do. So in here, if we have the session, then we're going to say const user equals await. And here we can then say prisma dot user dot find first. And in here we can say session or email or where. And here we can say email is session dot user dot email. Okay, so this is what we want to do. So if not session or not session dot user, then we're gonna say not authorized. Otherwise, we're gonna try to find the user and then we send back the user itself. So this is what we want. So if I save this now, go back to my app, try to refresh, I should get the user from the database. So now this is the user from the database that I actually want because I want the ID of the user. So now that we have this get call, which is users slash me, I'm going to remove this ID one because we don't want it at the moment. So users slash me is the endpoint. So now in my comment form, I can actually try to get the user session and then I should be able to use it. So in my page right here, I'm trying to get await get current user. This just returns the email, blah, 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 because this returns or the get current user itself. If you have a look at that, it just sends the server session auth options, blah, blah, blah. But I should be able to instead get the actual user from the backend. Now that I think about it, getting the current user could be fixed instead. So instead of this, we should be able to say something like const, or we can say if not session or not session dot user. I don't know, return null, or we say const user equal to prisma dot user dot find first. Then what should we do? We should say where the email is of the session dot user dot email, and then we actually return the user itself. So then we return the user, and the type of this function would be of type user from Prisma client. I'm pretty sure it's gonna actually cause a bunch of errors, but we'll see. So either user or null. Why does it try? Because this is supposed to be a promise of user or null. Okay, so now let's see wherever this is being used. So in layout, this is being used. So I could have user or null in this case. So profile image would not get the user. It would rather get the, wait a second, the user from Prisma client. It would also, or it could also get null in this case. So which means now I can save this guy. This one looks nice. No issues whatsoever. And let's see. So get current user, this takes the user. The comment component also takes the user, which is a session user. I'm rather going to use user from Prisma instead of session user. So let's remove this guy. And this looks nice. And then in my page TSX, this is my home page. So in here also I can use the user, get current user. And then I can pass this to comment component. So this would actually, or this has to return a user. Otherwise we wouldn't be using those. Or let's see. So in my page, if I have the user, then we use the comment form. If I have the user, I pass it in the comment component. We don't use it yet, but this could be user or null, just to be clear. And nothing else is broken here. This looks nice. And then in here, now I can actually pass the user in the comment form. So in here, I can say user equals user. And then in the comment form component here, I can actually have the user. So I can say something like user is going to be of type user or null. And we can import this from Prisma client. So now in here, I do have the user that I can use. So in this case, I can say, hey, if there's a user, then I would want to use, or this has to be an actual user. Otherwise, this wouldn't work. So a comment component or a comment form has to have a user. So in here, I would have to use user.id. And this should be nice. I don't want to use the use session in here. Let's keep it at this. And let's make sure everything looks nice on the page as well. Okay, so let's see if we have any errors or if everything compiles fine. I can see everything is compiling fine. We did a lot of changes. So just making sure that everything works. So in this case, we are logged in. If I log out, then still everything works. No issues whatsoever. So now what I want to do is I want to be able to go to the current user, passing the user in the comment form. And now in here, once we have the user ID, then we should be able to use it automatically. So in here, I can then say, hey, we have the params. And now what I want to do is I want to make a fetch call and then essentially just get done with it. So in this case, I want to have an async function, which then says something like const resp equals await fetch. So you fetch the data, which should be API slash, would I have to go with fetch? No. And this one also has to have do we have just one of prototype request info request init? Okay, then let's go ahead with that. Also, let's try one more thing as well. So give me 1 second. All right. So, all right, where was I? Okay, so we need to send the response to the API. So this is going to be API slash comments. And then since this is the URL, I also want to say the method here. So the method is going to be post. The body is going to be params. and this has to be a json.stringify. So we send the text and the user ID, both of them. And if there's a comment, then I also would love to add the comment ID. So in here, we also have the comment. So here we can say if we have a comment in here, then we can also say params.parent ID equals comment.id. Now, this is throwing an error because this doesn't understand what a param is. So in this case, we should say something like comment create something something create comment. Nope. We should be receiving it from the Prisma client, but here we have comment create, or let's say comment dot create arguments. This is the one that we want. Would it be possible to fetch it? No exported member. Of course. Where is this defined? Export type comment create args. But I should be able to have it, right? Well, it's not gonna be. No, it's not gonna be there. Nope. Okay, so what we can do here is we can say comment, and we can say partial of comment, which should make this happy. So we have the text, the user ID and parent ID, and then we are passing this into params, then we get the params. Then we can say const comment equals await rsp dot json. So once we do this, we should get back the comment as created comment. And let's quickly fix that. And then we should be able to say, hey, now that I have the comment, do something. So we can either sort of reload the page or add a comment, do something with it. Yeah, we can be crazy about this one. So in this case, we can go ahead and say const let's see. So now that we have this done, we can say console.log created comment. So just logging this down if we are able to create a comment. And I'm also gonna put the breakpoints here and see how this works. So now if I try to reply, it would ask me to log in. We can quickly try to log in now. And now if I go here, and if I debug as well, in here I can say comment form.tsx. And here I can go here, say a new comment on the horizons. If I hit submit, I get prevent default. Come here. I can see the form elements containing the comment text. So I have a mistake here that says text. I need to replace this and fix this. So this should be comment text, because that is what is the name of the text area. Okay, so refresh. Comment, a new comment on the horizon. We say submit, goes here. Then it tries to get an element. So it gets the text area element. Now it gets it. Then it creates the params. So the params are text and user ID. Then it sees if there's a comment. No, there's not. Then it makes the request, brings the response, and then should console log it. So if I click this, the response is back. If I read it, we have the created comment as this one. Yay, a new comment on the horizon having the ID, blah, blah, blah. And then we console log it, so we can see it on the console here as well. Create comment, as you can see. So now that we have this, what would happen? The thing is, the page does not refresh. We don't get to see the new comment until and unless we refresh the app. So if I refresh now, you can see that this one is now there with my user ID. Okay, so yeah, this seems nice to me. The only problem is that I want to be able to see the comments right there and then instead of having to refresh my page. So that's one thing. The other thing is also that if I have a look at my query or query that I fetch from comments, I want to be able to sort this. So I think the sort is somewhat here. Dot no. Let's have a look at the Prisma documentation instead of guessing it. So I want to be able to sort this. Filtering and sorting. And sorting. In this case, we should be able to say order by, and that is the one. So in this case, we should be able to say we did not include any timestamps, so we should have included timestamps, and we did not. What about timestamps as well? So timestamp. Okay. Migrate to Prisma timestamps auto increment. So here we do have timestamps. That's not good. Time. So in here, this is what we wanted. So we can also use the sorting with that, but we don't have this. So we're going to have to add this in the Prisma schema. So Prisma should have, no, that's the wrong file. So in this case, this is the schema.prisma, in which case, if I go to my comment, I should have both the created at datetime default now and datetime updated at as well. So now if I try to go to the terminal and if I do npx prisma format, just making sure everything is formatted good in a good manner, then npx prisma db push. So we do have the created at and updated at created. The only problem would be existing documents if they have the created at and updated at. So if I go to my database right now and if I go to comment, let's see what happens. So in here you can see that none of them actually have the created at or updated at. However, if I try to create a new comment, something new, and if I submit this, this should create the created comment, which is something new. If I go to the database, if I do refresh, then every new record now would have the created at and oh, this should have that's weird. Database already synced with the Prisma schema. Oh, that's because I've not migrated it. I think yes. But then also I'm pretty sure the problem here is that I can't see this. Okay, I have to use the migration. So npx prisma migrate dev name. Let's call it comment timestamps. Okay. No, I can't do it. But then I would have to remove node modules and reinstall them so I can run the Prisma thingy again. So let's do node npm I so I can rerun this and we should be able to then do it. So everything that we had right now, we would have to delete the comments that we have at the moment and we'll take it from there then. And can I go to a query? No. Let's see. Real time, blah, blah, blah. Indexes. I mean, I could connect directly from Hmm. Yeah, we could try that. Let's see. So now that we have this running, npm run dev, let's make sure that we can also do npx prisma.db push. So database is already in sync with this. And now I should run this again. Oh, because, okay, sorry. I'm running my server, so I need to just restart and look at the debug. So that should actually make it work. So let's make sure that if I add a new comment, this should be fine. And if I submit this, let's see if this gets it. And we got it created, and this said this should be fine. And now you see updated add and created add both. And this is what we wanted. So sort of having it by the documentation, or sorry, having it by default when we create a particular comment. Now that I have this, I can use it to use order by. So where, and then here we can say order by. And in this case, we can say something like created at, and then descending. So this means that now all the documents I create should have this in sort of the right sorting order. So for example, if I go here right now, no, let's refresh. And let's see. Compiling page, client and server. Unexpected end of JSON input. What? What did we miss though? So it says Prisma find many converting field created at unexpected. Oh, that's because some of the records right now do not have, or do not have the create at in this case. So I can either go ahead and write a script to add created at to every record, or I could just go ahead and delete all the ones that we have right now. So here we can go to the MongoDB extension. Let's do a connection. Yes, remove it. Add a connection. Connect with MongoDB. And we can say create a playground. And next, or is threads next? What is the name of the database? Threads next. So here, let's try a few things. So db dot comments dot find, and then we should be able to run this guy. So if you run this, yes. So I get, it's called comment. db.comment.find. And we should get all the comments, as you can see. And then we can delete the ones which have, or instead we can just remove all of them. So once we run that, we should be able to run the query, acknowledge, deleted count 7, cool. So this should have nothing at all now. Cool. So if I go to comments, no comments. Cool. So now I can start writing the comments. So let's refresh this guy. Nothing there. So we can say this is the first comment. Comment. I submit this. I refresh. And I should be able to receive then the new comment. So let's have a look. I'm at the breakpoint. Let's remove the breakpoints. And there we go. So the first comment is right here, and then I can keep on adding. So if this is the second comment, then when I refresh, I should see the second comment coming before the first comment. So this is ordered properly. Okay. Now that we have this, let's actually have a look at, don't save. That's fine. So now that we have this, let's have a look at the comment form, a bunch of things there. So if I go to the comment form component, you should be able to see that the comment form, when we make the API call, we should also make the text area, once we have gotten the response, we should have the text area dot reset, or this one is HTML text area element, but sorry, form. So we should have form dot reset. So we have the form resetted, but then we also want to sort of reload the data somehow. So how do we do that? That is the question. I'm pretty sure we cannot really pass a function to, I'm thinking, because I don't want to use Redux at all. But then, yeah, I think we would have to sort of combine the comment form and the comment TSX, sort of wrap them both into a single component so they can talk to each other. Thinking. Okay, so in this particular case, let's say the comment component is there, and I'm also keeping track of time, and we are in about 1 hour, 12 minutes. Okay, so the page itself requests the comments once, then it passes it to them, and then it sort of maps over them. But this is the only time that this can do it. So if I want this to happen again, I would have to pass somehow a function. But the problem is that as soon as I do it, this is going to start crying. I'm pretty sure this is going to start crying. So const something, I don't know. And if I do this, and if I pass this to here, it's strictly going to start crying, because you can't have a function. Functions cannot be passed directly to client components unless you explicitly expose it by marking it with use server. So this is the only thing that uh, that makes it a bit difficult, but we could try. All right, so let's say we had a, because if I had something like get server session, then I could have another I want to keep this clean, quite clean, so to say, because I could pass a function, but I'm still skeptical when it comes to the function itself, because it would reload the whole page, or I would try it. All right, so let's try this. So we have I'm thinking, should we call it server functions, or let's try them. So in this case, then we would have something like server functions. No, because if I do server, then I don't like this idea. If I go to lib, let's say if I had server functions.ts, then I would have to use server, and then I can do those things. So I can do const get comments equals, and in here then you can use those things like parent id, user id, blah blah blah. So if I have parent id, that could be string or null, then I could do return, and this has to be async. So then I can do const comments equals prisma dot comments dot find many, and in here then we would have to do the same thing, or I could just make an API call from here. So instead of prisma, I could say await fetch, because I already have the API. So API slash comments parent id equals. So here, if I don't have this, so const URL or let URL equals API slash comments, and if parent id URL plus equals parent id equals, and in here we can say parent id, and that would have a question mark before this, and now I can use the fetch right here, fetch with the URL. So once I've received those, I can say, or this one is supposed to be response, then I should be able to just send back when I use the API, that is this one, not this one, not this one, not this one, comments. So I get a comments object. Okay, cool. Then we should do something like const response body equals await rsp.json, and then we can say return rest body dot comments. Once we do so, we should get the comments, and in this case, if I go here, then I should be able to just pass get comments equals get comments, but then I would have to use it right here. Now that I have this, I would have to go and give it a type. Oh no, I have the got comments as well. Now I have two get comments. This doesn't work. We would have to go here and say export comments server func, and then we can go here. So if I do this now, I shouldn't be getting this guy something equals to function, and should rather get some other errors. So here it says, to use server actions, please enable the feature flag for your Next.js config, read more there. So then I need to enable the server functions in this particular case. So experimental server actions true, next config. Let's see. Okay. Then I think the only thing that remains is, and I need to run this again, is that this guy should have a get comments function available as prop. So get comments is gonna be a function that takes a parent id as a string or null and returns promise of comment from Prisma client and this guy, right? Or rather comment with user. So if I do this, let's see what happens. So the page is able to pass get comments, and then my get comments can be retrieved right here. And then once we have No, wait a second. What are we doing right here? So this should not be here. This should be in the comment form right here. So here we should have the get comments, comment with user. I can remove these comments from here and comment from here as well. Save this guy. And comment component should not be receiving this. This should be this guy. Get comments. So when we have the get comments passed to here, then after we do form.reset, we should be able to just say get comments, which should come from right here. And this says got argument but got null. So in this case, if we had a parent ID, we could use it. Otherwise, it won't be a parent ID. So if we have a comment, comment.id, otherwise we have null. So where did this comment come from? This is the comment, right? So then once we have the comment, we can get comment by .id, otherwise we say null. And we should still console log this. Or wait here. Okay, so now that we have this, let's see what happens when we add a new thing. All we did, all this magic that we did, was just to do this little thing. This is the third comment. And if I hit submit, yeah, this is what we wanted. 500. Let's see what happened. Failed to parse URL from API comments. Of course, yes. So if I go to my server functions, this should rather say HTTP localhost 3000/API comments. Let's try this again. This is the third comment. This is the fourth comment. Submit. And there you go. You can see that it tries to reset this, but then it tries to get the localhost as well. And once it does, request payload 0 null, that makes sense. We added, this is the fourth comment. But then the localhost, when it fetched it, did not get it. And now it got it. That's a good question on why is that? So let's put a breakpoint here. Let's see. This is the fifth comment. We go submit it. And I think we should have it. Oh, do 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 do. Is it because we did not run? I'm confused. Why did we not reach this place at all? Why did we not reach because if we had that written here in the page, so comment form says get comments, get comment server function. Once you have your comments back, okay. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. But then you would still have to change the front end to receive that. Mm-mm-mm. 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 Thinking. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. I think the easier way to do this would be to wrap these two guys into a single component that can be used as a client component, because then we also have the interactivity that goes from there. Okay, so let's go there. So in this case, we do have the header that comes here. We also have the main. But then if that's the case, then this doesn't make sense then, because then I mean, it kind of does, but you would have to take this out into a components or comments box. All right, let's go with comments box.tsx rafc e. We sort of export it, but what we want to do is we want to have the props here. So comment form comes here. Then I don't think we need all this magic that we just did. Comment would still be there. So you would have to have still comments coming in. So comments. And then I want to also do a bunch of things. So here we have comments. So const comments box. Let's use the comments box here. Comments box. So comments equals comments and user equals user. So we do want those two things to be there. So in this case, we have const or not const type props equals comments with comment with user array. And then we should have a user of type either user or null. So in this case, the user comes from Prisma client, and then we can say comments and then user by defining this props. And now we can import the comment form. Did we import it already? Yes, we did. Then we should also say comment component, imported from comment. Okay, then the only thing that's remaining is fixing the comment form itself. So get comments now. It could work, but once we have submitted the form, I think the idea then would be to have comment box doing all of the magic. So then we need to take out a couple of things. So in this case, this doesn't make sense anymore. Get comments, nope. We should probably have something like on form submit, which should receive, this should be a method that probably doesn't anything, doesn't do anything. This should be an async method that takes a text. Wait a second. It should take a text of type string. It should return promise of void, so to say. Then once we are done with all of this, we should just call on form submit and then the text area dot value or params dot text, because then we can take out all of those things. So then this guy can be awaited, and then we have all of this. So in this case, we should have the text area element dot value. So whatever we have submitted, we just submit it to the form. The user and the comment doesn't make sense, to be honest, or the comment does, because then you would want to have the comment ID if that's accurate, but maybe we don't need that as well. No, we don't. Then this should be like this. I like where this is going, to be honest. So then we can remove this as well. Get server function, remove this guy, remove all of these. And then the comments box can actually use those. So user doesn't need to be there. On form submit needs to be there. So const on form submit equals async text string does this. So we have copied it from the other place. So this is going to be text. This is going to be user.id, which makes sense. And this guy should then have on form submit set to on form submit. Okay. Now that I have this, let's have a look. So partial comment is going to be, or this comment should come from Prisma client. The user has to be there. Otherwise, this is not going to work. In this case, the user has to be there. The comment, this doesn't make sense because this is going to be a top. No. If I'm submitting this, then yes, this is going to be used in the comment box. And yes, so once we got the response JSON, we can take out the comment from it. So const comment equals await response.json. And we take out the comment from it. And once we have this, we can simply do a comments dot unshift. So comments dot unshift comment. But instead of doing this, we're going to use a state. So we are here, we can say comments, and here we can say const comments set comments equals use state. This is going to be of type comment with user initialized by rendered comments. So initialize with render comments. Then we have the comments that we basically sent to the map. Once we have the response, then we use set comments, the new comment that we've just got, and the rest of the comments. I think this should work, but then this guy has to be, the comment box has to be a use client. So use client. This doesn't need semicolon. Okay, let's see if the compilation is successful. It is. So now I have a bunch of comments. And now if I try to do something like 6th, maybe, then that means it's going to go to the comment box right here and then do all the magic that we just talked about. So if I say submit, it logs everything, comes here, goes to on form submit text area dot value, which is 6th maybe. So it goes inside and then it creates the params, which contain the text and the user ID. It does the fetch call, gets the response, gets the comment out of it. Yay! And then finally, it just sets the comment to add the 6th comment right here. And we have an error. Cannot read properties of undefined reading image. Oh, okay. And I know the reason why. So if we look at the fetch XHR, and I'm going to quickly replace the battery of my camera. Give me 1 second. Yes, let's see. All right, give me 1 second. Cool. So the reason why we get this error is when we have a post with a new comment, what we get back does not have the user, whereas the usual comments that we have has the user. So there's a difference between those two API endpoints. So we should be fixing them by going to our comments route. And in here, when we have the get, we do include the user, but when we send it back, we don't really include it, to be honest. So can we do include? Yeah. So when we do include here, then we can send it back as well. And this should be fixing the error. So let's see. 7th is the best. And now if I submit, I should actually get back the user as well. And this should not break. Da 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 da. And now the comment has the user. Yay! So in this case, I can quickly go ahead, and now here you can see 7th is the best, and we have all the comments then sort of being shown as well. So if I show the network call here, now we also got the user because of the include query. So now we are able to show all the comments, and posting a new comment works flawlessly. The thing that we would want to do now is to show nested comments. So if I wanted to reply to a particular comment, how would I do it? So now we're going to the final parts of this. So what I want to do is inside the comment box, I do have the comment, but inside each comment, if I have more child comments, then I would want to fetch them. But whenever I'm inside a particular comment, when it's being rendered, then I would want to see, hey, does it have any list of comments or not? And I want to be able to see also the count of it as well. So if I go to my API, this one, I want to be able to see the count of components we have. So can I also do something like count? If I do count, what can I take of comments? Can I say comments? No. I want to say count. So in this case, let's try to search for counts. Count. So in this case, I should be able to say find many. So users with count. So we say something like user.find many include count select post true. So then I am getting to return a count of relation. For example, a user's post count, use the count parameter with the select as known. Okay. So then I should be able to say include count. And then here I should say select. And then I should be able to say comments. No. Is it child no. It's called comments, right? So we have the comment.find many. What? Nope. All right. So the count in this case is children. Okay. So then children should be it. True. Now if I try to make this query, let's see what happens. So in this case, I should be able to get the count of the children. So if I refresh this, the children count is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. All of them have 0 child components. So let's say if I wanted to do add something to 7th is the best, and this is the ID, so I can do this programmatically. So I can go actually here in my REST client, and I can give the parent comment ID as this one, and then post a comment that is say this is a nested component, and the user ID is still the same as mine. So if I send a request here, I think this should work. Not authenticated, of course. So if I go here to the post, I'm going to temporarily disable this guy, and then I can say send request. And there we go. This is a nested comment. It has the parent ID set to null. That's not good. So this should have gotten the nested parent ID, which should be this guy. So in here we have some problem. So if I have a new comment that I've received from the ID, then I should have, oh, did I not include the parent ID? Okay. Should have included the parent ID. That's why. So then I need to delete this guy. Let's go to comment. Let's refresh. Blah, blah, blah. So in this case, this is a nested comment. I'm going to delete this guy. Delete. And then I also need to say parent ID is going to be parent comment ID. So now I can send this request. And now I have the parent ID as well. Cool. So now I can actually get some data out of it. So now if I look at the same request, the children should be 1. Yay! So I can see the aggregated result. So then I would know if I should expand or collapse a particular comment. So in this case, this also means that we should have the count property as well. So this means if I go with if I go to interfaces, no. Where was the type defined? Comment with user. Let's see. No, it's not here. It's not here as well. Comment box, nope. Comment with user. Where does this come from? Lib types. So type was the one. In this case, we could also have a count, which would have what exactly? It would have the what do you call it? Children. So children, and that should be a number. So that's also a type, which means that now what I can do is when I'm in a comment, I can use a use effect to actually get more comments to render. So I can do something like this. So I have const get nested comments equals, and this is going to be async. Here, then I can do this. So I can call the get nested comments. And in here, what I can do is I'm going to say, hey, if, or let's do it like this. So if the comment that we have right now has count.children less than 0, then get nested comments, right? So in this case, I do have a comment, but I do want nested comments as well. So const nested comments set nested comments, or you could also say child comments, or we could also say replies, set replies equals use state. We have that as comment with user. So this is also going to be an array of that. And then what we can do here is that we can take the replies and render those later on, but wait a second. So in this case, we say get nested replies. Then we should be able to say something like const resp equals fetch. Here we have API / comments, and this needs to be like this. So comments / or comments question parent ID equals, this is going to be then comment.id. So comment.id. Then we can say resp body equals await, and this should also be await. res.json, and then in here we can get the comments. So in here we can say const comments equal resp body.comments, and finally we can say set replies comments. So when we do this, then we should get the replies, and then finally we can actually go ahead. Schwarzer, I think Twitch has a problem. I'm not really sure why, but we have a problem with Twitch. So you could look for CodewithAhsan on YouTube and maybe search there. I don't know why Twitch has a problem. Okay, so we do have the comments right here. Then we also set the replies, and then I think we can use the replies to just render the comments list. So I'm going to copy this from the comments box. So if I go here, this should have a section with flex, blah, blah, blah. And then I can go in the comments box, and in here I should have the list of comments here. So comments box has a comment component. Inside the comment component, after all the magic, we should have this guy right here, and this should be replies dot map comment, and then we have the same thing. The user is there already, which should be right here. Okay, so we have the user, we have the comment ID, and then we also have the comment itself, and we can say reply rather than a comment. So we can say reply.id and reply. Cool, this makes sense. Now let's try to refresh this and render this. Comment.count.children. Oh, we have a nested loop. No. You can see we have a nested loop. Nope. Why? Oh ho, wait a second. Wait a second. Let's stop this madness. So we are not sending infinite loops. Okay. Okay. So if we run this and we have a comment.tsx, which should have a breakpoint, and then I want to see what's happening. So in here, it tries to go comment.count children, get nested comments, set replies. Okay, of course, we have a nested loop because we don't use this guy right here. So yes, we need the empty dependency right here in order to not no, in order to not run this infinitely. So if I refresh this guy, okay, and now you would also see one thing. So you see that the nested component or the nested comment directly shows here. So this is the nested component, 7th is the best. This is what we wanted, but we don't want it to happen immediately after reply. So what we want to have is this should run when we have the replying set to true. So if it's not replying, but expanded set to true. So if it's expanded, which means that I'm doing something like this. So if this is expanded, then we should show it, otherwise not. So we are going to say is expanded, and this should be right here. And then what I should be doing here is, let's also use the exhaustive for this line. And so if is expanded and the children are greater than 0, then we get the nested comments, or otherwise we don't. So if I refresh, you don't see it, right? But if I click this, now you see the endpoint triggering. Now you see the data coming in, and it works. And if I have this removed, then that should go away. So this should only render if I have is expanded set to true. So this should be like is expanded, blah, 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 and then this guy. And then I can sort of refactor them like this. So this means that if I expand this, I see that. If I close this, I don't see that. If I expand this, I see that. Let's also try to make sure that we have some sort of padding within this section. So this means that I'm going to have a padding of 4 in here. And now you see that I have sort of a nested thing going on right here. So I could have more nested comments right here, and this would also work pretty flawlessly. And I can click this. But when I click reply, I would also want to see the comments as well. So when I click reply right now, what happens is that it toggles the replying, right? So toggle replying sets it to is replying, blah, blah, blah. But then if I have the replying set to true now, then I would also set is expanded as well. So in this case, I would say, hey, if not is replying. So if this was false and I'm turning it to true, then I also want to turn set expanded to true. So for example, in this case, now what would happen is if I click reply, I should also be sending the expanded to true as well. So let's see. So toggle replying, refresh. And you can see I set the expanded to true. I can collapse this, but if I click reply, then what should happen? Now you see there's also another problem. I need to click this twice. So when we set the toggle expanded to false, so if is expanded is true at the moment, and we are turning it into false, then we should also say toggle, or we should also say set is replying to false as well, which should be fine. So in this case, now that I think about it, when I click reply, but I have one use case where I don't want to do this. So we'll look into that. So if I click this, it opens up this guy as well. If I click this, then it removes it. If I click reply, it opens it. If I click reply again, then it doesn't close it. So that was the idea. So reply does something different. This guy basically makes sure that this shows or hides. If I click reply, it turns it on. Cool. Now the final thing that I want to also do is I have the form right here. So I'm going to go to comment box and copy paste the form as well. So this guy goes right here in the comment component, and I'm going to do it like this. So if we have the user, then we would have to also add the comment form. Let's import this, and then let's pick a dummy right here. So text string, and we don't do anything at all. Is that the one? So async dummy for now. So now what would happen is if the user exists and we have is replying set to true, only then we will show this. So now you can see that reply is turned on. If I click this, the reply goes away, but this is still is expanded. This is what I wanted to do. So here you can see that this toggles this guy, this toggles this. If I open reply, this gets expanded, but if I collapse it, then the reply also goes away in this case. And that's a bit weird. So I actually don't want that. If I click, if I am toggling the expanded, then this shouldn't be happening. No. So if, in this case, those are two different things. So if I set reply, everything should open. But if I hit close, then that should go away, but reply is still open. If I click reply again, then it should go away. If I have this expanded and if I click reply, then it should show this guy. But if I hit this again, it goes away. Okay, so now I think I have my user experience sort of figured out. Now, I also want to do one thing, and that is if I have this component, if I have this comment, so to say, that has, I'm thinking now. So now what I want to do is if this particular component has child count, then we show that sort of arrow, otherwise we don't. So in this case, we should be able to say something like, if we want to show this guy right here, reply blah, blah, blah. And this is the SVG that we want to show. So this one, we only show when we have comment dot count dot children. And if that's the case, then we should be able to render this. And this should be and this guy. We save this. We format this a bit. So if we have children greater than 0, then it shows, otherwise it doesn't. So now you see none of the comments have that except the one which have expanded, right? But if I click reply, this shows up, but we don't have expanded. So the expanded is only on the ones that we have right here, and we can collapse them as well. Super nice. Now, what I also want to do is this section that we have should take a class name of empty4. So we have some gap right here, as you can see. So reply, reply, there we go. Awesome. Looks nice to me. Now what I want to do is once the form is submitted, I want to basically get the comments again. But then I should actually take this guy out right here, and we should be good. So now what I want to do is I want to be able to update the count of comment, and I'm thinking, because if I just create something, then this count should update. Then I should rather have this set in the state. So we can say const children count set children count equals use state, and here we have. So in this case, we can then use, instead of this guy, we can say children count. Then we can also say children count right here. If the children count changes and we have is expanded, then we get the nested comments. This makes perfect sense. Then we should also go here, and then here we use the children count, right? So in this case, we should be able to say that once we have on form submit, we can say something like create nested comment, which means that now I'm going to go here and create a function that does that. So const create nested comment equals, in this case, this should be async. In this case, we should also be receiving a text string. So this guy should be able to receive a text string. Yes. So we have the text right here. And then I'm going to copy paste something from comment box. So when we do this guy, I'm going to copy this, go to comment form, no, comment.tsx, and in here we have this. So what we have text here, we can use that as a string. Then why does it say use a string and text does not exist on top comment? Oh, okay, because this is not comment, this is supposed to be from Prisma client. Do I have two comments now? I hope not. Okay, so I got the comment from Prisma client. Now what I can do is, once I have these params and I have the API comments as well, we have the post as well. In there, I also want to add the parent ID set to the comment that we have here .id, and the comment is coming from the props. And then I can say that from the response JSON, I can say created comment. So now what I can do is set replies to this created comment that we have and the existing replies. And this should ideally work. So in this case, let's go and try to reply 7th is the best. And I can say another nested comment. Let's try this out inside the comment component. So comment.tsx. And in here, I want to put some breakpoint here so I can actually debug this. Can I put it? No. No, yes, no. Okay. Here maybe. Okay. So if I refresh now, go to, all right, get nested comments. No. So here I could go and say this guy, and then reply. We go forward, we take the nested comment. So we say another nested comment, we say submit. So it comes here to form elements, blah, 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 comes here, goes to on form submit. Yes, goes forward, goes to create nested comment, creates the params. The params contain the parent ID, the text, the user ID, all of them. Then it makes the API call. Hopefully it works. Yes, we got the response. We go forward to create a created comment. Yay! So the parent ID and the nested comment, user, blah, blah, blah. And then we just unshift it. So we should be able to see it here. Reading children. Now we have a problem because when we tried to get the comment, we did not get the count. And we want the count. So in our call route TSX, we want this guy in here as well. And this should fix it. And we are going to see it fixed. So 7th is the best. Go here, forward. Another nested comment, as you can see. This won't break. And then we hit submit. Play. Set replies, created comment, set replies. Boom. This won't break. And now we have a nested comment. How about we try something interesting? Reply. Nested level 2 or 3. Assuming we are programmers, starting with 0. This is going to be 2. If I hit submit, then I will get a new comment, but I will not be showing this arrow, and I'll tell you why. Because we don't update the count. So if I do this, now you can see I got this nested level 2, but I don't have an arrow here to expand or collapse, unlike this one. And that is because we also need to update the count as well. So what I'm going to do now is, in here, when we try to go and we do on form submit, not only I need to set comments, but I also need to update the count of the whole sort of component. So in this case, we have the comment.tsx. We have the replies here. We first need to create an array. So const new replies state equals this guy. So we set this here, and then we say const, or not const, but set count, set children count to new reply state dot length, and that should be good. So now if I try to submit another one, I should be able to see the nested one. So if I refresh now, let's see. So in this one, we have the arrow, we open it. Now you can see another nested comment doesn't have an arrow, but this one has, this won't break. And now we have nested level 2. If I do nested level 3, I should get an arrow here. So nested level 3, and I have no breakpoints. So if I hit this, yay! So you see, I already got the nested level 2 having this here. So I can expand or collapse, and this works. Awesome. So now we have something sort of a threads app, but I would love to see your UIs on how you build it. And it was actually not easy, to be honest, but we have something that we have right here. So I'm going to quickly look at the time here. So we are overboard. The only thing that is remaining is to just deploy this, I guess. And I think we should be good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deploy this on Vercel. So let's quickly go there. Vercel, dashboard. So I have 2 applications already, but I'm going to add a new one. For that, I also need the environment variables as well. So new project. And we should say, I'm going to have to actually push this as well. And before that, I also have to build this as well. So let's do that. So npm run build. Let's see if everything actually builds or not. If it doesn't build, then we'll probably need one more stream. Let's go. Let's see. And this looks nice overall to me. I could have improved this a bit, but I think I'm happy with it so far. Swarm of Dog says same. Yes, exactly. So the only thing that I have right now is the get server session. No, not that, but the Prisma file. I need to get rid of this guy. What does this have to do with all of the things? Do do do. Mm mm mm. Mm-hmm. Then I would have to either go with this one. Okay. Declare global this, or is it not? Rather, it's rather global. And then we should have Prisma. That should be of type Prisma client. Statements are not allowed in ambient context. That makes sense. Should that be then in the not next env, but rather to I think we would have to do global.d.ts, and then this would have to be imported, I'm assuming. And does this solve the problem? No. So this is type of global is still. And declare var global. But then it doesn't. If we go with, I mean, we could go with the Prisma thingy right here. For yes, then I don't need the file. So let's quickly remove this guy. And I think should be good. I'm not sure how I know this, but I'm pretty sure I did do it at some point in some other application as well. I need to fix the Twitch thingy. I don't know how why it doesn't work. Okay, so in this thing, it compiled successfully, so we should be good. Let's quickly go with env variables as well. I'm gonna put them out. So let's see if I can go to Vercel. So we're gonna have to, we're gonna also have to push the code, of course. So let's go ahead with production. So git status, git add, commit. What did we add? Read nested comments, implemented nested comments, hooked up front end and back end. Back end or back end? Back end. Git comment, amend, da 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 da. Okay, cool. Now we can actually create some project to deploy this. So GitHub, let's go and create a repository. We're gonna call it next thread or threads next app. This is gonna be mine. We do this, and then we should be able to say this guy, get status, remote get or add origin. Oops. Git push. Let's do that. And then we have the code right here. Cool. Now we can create it Now we can try to say, give me access to, let's see. So auth GitHub. So we quickly do this. Select repositories, threads. What do you mean I don't have this repository? I just added it. Is it not in my thread? Threads. What the threads? Next tab. Rename this. And also fix this. Git remote remove origin. Git remote add origin. Okay, now that I have this, let's try to, oops, this guy. So this should say threads. Next app. Save. So here we should have threads. Next app. Import it. Blah blah blah. Environment variables. Let's go and create those. So I'm gonna quickly add the env vars. Give me 1 second. So env had next auth secret. Let's add this guy. Then we have the client ID, Google client ID. It's gonna be this guy. Got secret. And that's gonna be this guy. And finally, we also need to have a database URL. So finally, what you need to do is to use the database URL right here. And then it should be cool. So now, once you add it, then you should be able to deploy, to be honest. So let's say this guy, and then we say deploy. I don't think I've missed anything, to be honest, apart from the fact that I need to use the, what do you call it? The Google project has to define the OAuth blah 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 with the authorized URL. So that's the one thing that I need to do. And if I go all the way up top, there was something right here. No. Here, no. Providers, Google, Google. And here I should be able to see, yeah, your domain API auth called by Google. Yeah, that's the one. So it's the same thing, but just a bit different. So deploying, did it come with an error? No. Prisma has detected that this project was built on Vercel, which caches dependency. This leads to an outdated Prisma client because Prisma's auto generation isn't triggered. To fix this, make sure to run Prisma generate command during the build process. Aha, yes, of course. So then I would have to configure the project, next app, go to project, settings, override, npx prisma generate, and npm run build. So this is what it should do. So let's do that. Because we are using Prisma, so that means we have to do it so the deployment actually gets triggered properly. So redeploy, and this is the URL. So I'm going to copy this, redeploy, and then here I can add a URL, and then this should be this guy, https and then save, and this should be okay, I think. So this should work. The only problem that I know now or realize now, this is going to deploy, but the only thing that I have right now as a problem is localhost, because I have that in too many places. And I have to use the env variable rather than this. So server functions, this will fail, this will also fail. So that means that I need to have some sort of variable that says, I don't know, next base or base URL or next base URL. And this should be, in this case, HTTP localhost host 3000. And in this case, I would be replacing then the localhost 3000 with the process.env stuff. So in here we have process.env dot next auth URL, no, the env local next base URL, and then I should be using the same guy in here. Yes. And now I can come in and push it, and this should be fine. Open editor, page.tsx. What did I miss? This guy. Okay, so we got two files that I need to update. And then we can say git status, git add, git commit, fix URLs. No. Fix base URL, fix API base URL. Oh, wait a second. So this is 3000. Okay, then API. Okay. And this one is also 3000. Okay, cool. Or we can say use base URL from env. Okay, now that we have this is deployed. A bunch of things won't work as far as I think, but because if I visit it, what happens? Authenticating. Application server side exception has occurred, of course. So now we need to see the logs, but then we also need to see the env variables. Yeah, this wouldn't work. So what I want to do is I'm gonna go to next app. I'm gonna go to settings. I'm gonna go to environment variables. And in here we should have another one. Oops. Refresh. So this one should be next base URL. And I should have this project having the URL set to the base URL. So this one should be this. Save. Cool. And now I can go to the deployments and redeploy. And I hope that it then works. Otherwise, we have a problem. So we'll see. So this guy should have. But have I pushed my code? Yes, I have. Okay. So in this case, this guy, we need to see the logs. What happened to this? Inspect deployment. Running checks. Logs. It says get 5 icon worked, but then getting slash didn't work. Next auth, warning debug, blah, blah, blah. But what happened to you? We'll see. We will see. One minute, 10 seconds. And now this is 1 minute, 13 seconds. What are you doing? Spec deployment. Da da da. Authenticating. Why? Why can't you work? What has happened to you? This one says serverless function, level type, Washington. So it says e connection refused. It still tries to go to local 3000, but why? That's not nice. Where am I using? But have I pushed the env.local? No. Env, nope. But then what is causing this? Okay, let's try this on local. So npm run build. Okay, so then I can run npm start. Let's see. Where's my app? Seems to be working fine on local. But why not on production? Why not on production though? Fetch failed, fetch failed, fetch failed. Could it be because my database is not accessible outside of it? Could it be the case? I think maybe. Do 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 do. If I hit the exact error, what is the possibility that I will find the exact problem? Let's see. Vercel. Papa. This is sort of the one that I get. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, then the problem is some of our fetches would not work, and this is due to something that wanted server-side rendering. I think I know the issue. I think I know the issue because the network access is the one that I want. So if I do this, I'm pretty sure it's gonna start working. I think. I think, to be honest. So if I try to do this now, I don't know. Maybe I need to redeploy. I don't know. New logs. Show new logs. Show me the logs. Show me them logs. So what I need to maybe do is redeploy and then see if everything looks nice. Let's see. Build cache. Yes. Let's see the logs. Mm-hmm. API comments, blah, blah, blah. Deployment completed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't need to have these ones, to be honest. Oh, we'll see. Nope. Still fails. Mm. Okay, then that means we would have to, if I go to the page itself, and if I try to fetch with the API comments, I would still have to see what happens when I get the errors. Which should then be here. This guy has to have this, and I would have to have a try catch to make sure I can see what's really happening. So try to see if this works, and if we have a catch, can say console.log error happened during get API comments, and then the error. So I do want to at least have this so I can see what's really going on. So in this case also, let's put this into a try. And let's quickly go with this. And let's go here. Let's also try to see if we have anything else that we want to work with. Get server session, we don't really need that. Not this guy as well, and not this guy. So this should be enough. But we also have this guy as well. So we'll see. Let's do git add commit m fix comments, try catch, and a bit of logging. Push. Let's see. I'm gonna be right back once this gets deployed. So building, I'm gonna be right back in 10 minutes. All right, never mind. I'll go in a bit. But the deployment was successful now. And now if I go and visit the app, there we go. We have we now have the application. That's awesome, right? This is the best. Of course, it is. And I can see all the data, and this is deployed on the site. So if I promote this to production, I think we should be good. Let's go back. Um, let's go here. So environment is production. If I do visit, does it take me to no? I want to go to the actual deployment. So this one is on main. Is it promote to production? Yeah, let's promote this to production. Yeah, let's do that. So this should be possible to go to the why does it give the domain and a so weird name? So threads next app whatsapp.com slash no domains threads next app. Oh, exactly this one. Cool. So we have this URL right here. Let's add this to our GitHub as well. Oh, we already have that. So nice of Vercel. All right. So then I can use it with multiple accounts as well. So let's say if I wanted to do it with my mm, other account, then I could also go here and say, hey, threads next app, Vercel. How about you log me in, sign in with Google. Oh no, I can't have it because it's oh the redirect URI is a mismatch. That's not fun. So if I do login, this doesn't work. Okay, we have got a problem. So next app has this one, and this guy should have this there as well. I think this is the issue. So HTTPS, and we should save this, and I think this should fix it. Refresh, log in, sign in with Google. Not really. I think this takes about 5 minutes or something when we update this. I think it says it's somewhere around here. I don't recall. It may take 5 minutes for this settings to take effect. In our code, do we set this anywhere? I don't think so. Auth options. Yeah, not really. We say callbacks? No. We don't add callbacks or any URLs anywhere. So I think the code should be not fine. But I think the app itself would be able to do the login just fine once this takes place in 5 minutes. So I'm going to be back now. 10 minutes break. All right, we are back at it. So Gumi, yes. So let's try this again. So what I've done actually is I went to the settings, the environment variables, and then I also added one thing in the meantime, and that was the next auth URL. So if I go to environment variables right here, this was supposed to be added next auth URL. And for me, this one is the threads app or your production URL, whatever you have. So in this case, if I try now, I believe it should be fine. Ah, no, it's not fine. So this is the URL, okay. Mm, 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 mm. So I was looking into some of the things. And this should be then next auth URL. So this should be, aha, okay. So then, okay. So then it should not be that. It should rather be promote production. Let's go back to the app, and the auth URL should rather be, if I go to environment variables, change this guy to be this. So API slash auth callback Google. I think that's it, right? Save. Let's see. Deployment is required. Yes. So we're gonna run this, redeploy, and see what happens. Fingers crossed. All right. Let's see. Building, building. Let's see how this looks so far. Mm-hmm. Deployment completed. Let's see if this works at all. So now I should be able to go to login, go to sign in, and we still have the redirect URI mismatch. Hmm. Let's have a look at the documentation. So next auth production. Okay, so this one, when deploying to production, set next auth to the canonical URL of your site. So this means this should be it. If your next application uses a custom based path, specify the route to the API endpoint in full for more information. And this is custom route API slash auth. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But then, But I think this should be, I mean, this should be fine. Next auth URL. When your next application uses custom path, set the next environment variable to the route to the API endpoint in full. Hmm. But if I didn't provide it, it should have still logged me in. But then I'm confused of what would. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, so get API sign in, sign out, blah blah blah. Okay, so if I try to do this, let's have a look. So if I go here, open this guy, and then if I go right here, so I should callback URL should be this guy. What's API, API auth callback. Mm-hmm. Isn't that what I've set it to? Or would I have to set it to something else? Oh, well, why? Wait a second. Ah, okay, now I understand it. So, but I should be then using the final URL. So this is threads next app. This should be the app. Yeah, and this should work. So login, sign in with Google. Aha, redirect URI mismatch, of course. So threads next app, Vercel, API auth sign in, callback URL is https threads next app Vercel app. Oh, is it what? Is it because of this guy? It's probably because of that guy. So log in and this, but that's also not accurate. So in this one, it should be API to F auth Google. Is that the one? So if I do this, then also not. Mm-mm-mm. Wait a second. Not that as well. Slash API auth providers. So this guy should go right here. Right? Try signing with a different account, but that's fine. So if I go to sign in, and if I do sign in with Google, then it just tries to go to that page and doesn't work. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Ah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the canonical URL of my site is essentially threadsnextapp.vercel.app, and that should be it. So that means I can go to my settings, I can go to my environment variables, and I can change this guy to basically this guy, and that should work. So next base URL is this guy, next auth URL is this one, deployments. This is the most non-interesting part of deploying an app. and then we should be good. Access is blocked, blah blah blah. Session, let's get rid of those. The happiness of closing all these tabs. Da 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 da. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We already discussed this guy. Let's see. Let's see if we are able to get it done this time. Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Moment of truth. Let's try this guy. And here we have log in, but this doesn't say threads. But it could also be that I've not promoted this guy to production, right? It could also be that reason. Let's see. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Upcoming assignment domains to update your production deployment, push to the main branch. Okay, cool. So I think we are on production now. 55 seconds ago. Cool, cool, cool. We go to our app. We try to log in and we have a redirect. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, I don't really think that this matters a lot, but why do we have a redirect URI mismatch? Because this is exactly the same thing. Mm-hmm. For use with request from a browser, okay. But then this one also, should it be this? No. Um, shouldn't it be API slash auth callback URL? Oh yeah, that's why. Okay. Yeah, that's the pain. Okay, let's see. Will it work automatically now? Of course, yes. It was a missing API. Of course, it was. Okay, so I can now see myself on the actual deployment. And that also means that I should be able to see more people. So if I do it with maybe applied technology, my other account, and if I try to sign in with Google, yep. And if I try to add something like, hey, this is super cool, and then if I submit, refresh here, and now you can see another account just posting something, and we have the likes here. Obviously, you can change the likes count because you have them already. So I don't think that's going to be, yeah, super rocket science. But if I had to go, I would just go to not this guy, but rather to the thread next app. And in each component where I have the comment component, I should be able to fix that. So let's quickly do that, and then we are done for today. So this guy where it says likes, we can go ahead and say comment dot likes so far, and we should be able to say, in this particular case, we can obviously just commit and push. So git commit, and we can say feed comments add likes count add push, and then we have the localhost app as well. So in here, localhost 3000, it says 12 likes, but if I refresh now, there should be zero likes right here for everyone. Doesn't seem nice, but I think it still is fine. So 0 likes, 0 likes, 0 likes, as you can see. Now if you wanted, you could also use opacity here, so we don't have to jump here and there. But I think it's still nice, to be honest. Reply. Oh, it asks me to sign in. Of course, sign in. There we go. And now I could reply and I have something right here as well. So awesome. Submit. And we got this guy. 7th is the best. And now we can also see on the live one. So we have 7th is the best. And if I refresh this guy, we have the 0 likes now in production as well. And if I go here, we have awesome here as well. Cool. Awesome. So this is working. I think I'm gonna stop here. This was so much fun to do, but I think when it comes to actually creating this as a tutorial, I might improve some things here and there and might sort of structure it as well. But if you follow the stream, you might have learned quite a lot. So yeah, thank you and have a good one.